All right, so so how was the practice? It was okay? Yeah. And of course, you're have to deal with the question that's always posed to us, whether I try to remember what I did, or do I know the process? Can I find the process to come back and come back and come back? And through the process, keep the refinement going rather than trying to put and impose the memory on what I did. Is there anybody who's had a severely sprained ankle? Yep. There we go. Come on. That was fast, wasn't it? Yeah, good. Come on, stand out here for a moment. That's it. Good. Excellent. Just looking, what's your guess? Which ankle do you think? His left one or his right one? And are the knee constructions on the same side as the ankle, or are they different? Can you hypothesize? Just take a few steps and let people watch you walk for a moment. Okay, so, and do the hokey pokey. Okay, so now let's see. This table's high enough. Maybe you come and sit on this table, and everybody go out there. Everybody go around there, so they can see. Yeah. Hopefully the table won't slide out from underneath you. All right, so now very slowly begin to come to standing. Take your time. Pretty good, wasn't it? So come again and just, but right there, wait, right there. What's the difference between how his right leg is organized over his foot and his left leg is organized over his foot? So the moment that he starts to make the movement, right? Go ahead and start to make the movement to come to standing. Which knee gives up? The left one. Yeah?
It's an unfair test because this is currently injured.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can tell us the rest of the story.
That's it. That's the end of the story.
Tell us how you injured your ankle.
I've ruined both playing football.
Right. Football meaning soccer football, rugby football, Australian rules football? Okay. Yeah.
And
yeah.
but the first time I did it, I was quite young, and then just escalated.
What happened the first time you did it? Watch him. Where did he just go? No, he went into seeking for the story. And now you watch very carefully whether he's telling you the story like he's re-experiencing it. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Is he telling you the story as if he's in the story? Okay, so go ahead and just tell us. Yeah.
It's too painful to go. I fell off a gutter as a kid when I was running.
Okay. Yeah. Sunny day, rainy day?
Neither. think it was slightly overcast.
Okay.
Do you mean a road gutter or a roof gutter?
No,
Road.
no. Kid running around, running up, tripped on the gutter, spray mate.
Okay. Fair enough.
Going up.
All right.
3056.
All right. Good enough. It's fun. Look, when a person tells the story as if they're in the story, their system has to, we know from PET scans that there's more of the brain becomes involved in telling the story than what takes place when you actually go through the injury. That the images, because you not only have the story, but you have all the processes by which you maintain the compensations for the story. Yeah. And so in an interesting way, when you tell the story like that, then you reawaken the needs when you're associated to the story. Now, if we're successful, I can't do that. I'll just do it anyway. If we're successful, he'll get up and I'll say, so where's the story now? And he'll go, what story? Yeah, because he's not associated to the story. He'll have a different sense relative to the way the compensations arise as they tell the story. Yeah, that makes sense? No? Yes? Yeah. Okay, please come and lie on your back with your feet here. And I need a roller, a little bit bigger than that one. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't organize it. Can I have that black one, the smaller one of the black ones? We'll put a little something under his head. We may as well start doing something nice like we're actually Feldenkrais teachers. That's perfect. All right, let's put this underneath too, just a little something. Which foot is more clever in following my hand? You got to come around so you can see. It doesn't help. Yeah. So here we're making all of these tiny movements. Which foot follows with greater dexterity? This one or this one?
Right.
The right one seems to follow more. Yeah. This one has a particular kind of. Now, he just told us that his knee's injured, so that would certainly be a reason for him to have a lot of compensation, wouldn't it? Yeah. What surgeries did you have?
Knee reconstruction and partial meniscus removal from this one, different operation, and two arthroscopies, but only one knee reconstruction.
This one with the ACL too? Yeah. Ah, see, already has changed. Now, here's what we're going to study for the time being, right? We're going to study how this bone glides. Yeah. Now, if I may start to make this movement, which means to find the talus, and we'll look at it, and I start to make the movement, I sense whether his foot can glide easily through the opening. Now, if you watch really carefully, my finger came away. What do you think my sit bones did? As my finger came back, which way did my sit bones go? And as my finger went forward, what direction did my sit bones go? Yeah, so the movement of this, the movement of my finger is based on my weight of myself coming into the opening. Okay. So I'm listening as to whether or not he has the freedom to move through the opening. I can test sort of the stiffness or the movement, and I can test, I remember I asked you during the lesson, which way do the metatarsals move as you lift the inner arch, and which way do they move when you lift the outer arch? So they must spiral, don't they? So I can listen to whether or not these bones in his foot spiral easily. All I have to do is touch and ask. It's not like I have to use force. So neurologically, his attention begins to come towards the possibility. Watch my thumb and my hands. Where does the movement come from?
Hips.
I can work with every joint. We know these things.
So Jeff, for you, is that the up and down move?
So what are the movements of the joints? So it's a funny question. Which are the joints of posture and which are the joints of transforming energy into rotation? Which ones are the joints of posture and which are the rotational joints? Which are the joints of movement? So if I start here, the first joint, what direction does it move? And what's the next joint do? Circles, doesn't it? And then the foot can make the way the bones form, flexion and extension. But under the ankle, you also, with the subtalar joint, you also begin to have the potential for circling. And then the knee joint does what? And then what does the hip joint do? Yeah, so which of the joints that have to do with transforming movement and which of the joints that have to do with posture? Yeah, if I'm going to hit a baseball, I'm not going to try to do it. I have to, I have to find the points of rotation. Okay. Funny. Yeah. But this one, from the beginning, glides through. This could be the one he injured first. I really don't know. Yeah, could be. But this one glides Might be my phone. Sorry. So the ankle is so richly embedded in proprioceptive receptors that when we've had this level of injury, the receptors become amnesic. So then the system has to recruit extra tone to ensure stability because it can't rely on proprioception as a basis to determine how much to recruit. You agree? So now my question is, how do I wake up? And you can try to do it on a ball, you can try to do it on a roller, you can try to do it on a BAPS board, you can try to do it in all the ways that you might have experienced, but ultimately the question would be whether or not the person maintains a compensation above so they can make the movement and maintain their balance, but they don't awaken point by point within the joint. So then the question becomes, how can I sort of scrub the joint? So I have to be able to think of, relative to the shape of the talus and the gliding movement, so I have to begin to think of every single point that as I make the movement through the joint, here I find the talus gliding through. Here I find the talus. I keep finding and finding and finding all the little subtle ways in which the talus can glide forward so I can turn him into a first-class, world-class ballet dancer. Ah. The muscles in the front of the leg, from the shin over to the fibula, are the muscles that do what? Do they lift the front of the foot, or do they lift the, which muscles lift the heel and which muscles lift the front? Yeah, so the muscles in front. So when they contract, they're going to contract in such a way that the foot's drawn up. When you contract the muscles behind, you're going to contract the heel up, yeah? So I can take over the contraction so that he starts to have a sense that these paired opposites can become active. Boop, 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 boop. Huh. What happened? This is the foot that followed my hand easier. Is it following it better than it was before? Yeah. Biologically, is he more fit than he was before? In other words, is he capable of interacting with the environment and the interaction from the environment that his own mechanoreceptors, his own proprioceptive system, will be able to feed to him what he needs to contract, decontract, how to interact, so he doesn't have to maintain the tone that he's maintained. Yeah? Make sense? You can say that for yourself? Huh? Just like that? Okay. This is a whole world of study, yeah? We're going to play with this a little bit, and maybe we'll do a little bit tomorrow, and then we'll make our first efforts. We'll make our first attempts for lifting a person's head. Efforts too. Oh. Ah. So you can see why I have these ways of holding. So I can change the connection. Here's the connection to holding the tendon, inviting the heel. Now the heel doesn't just come up, does it? What do you think happens? As the heel comes up, what's happening in the... Yeah, it's gliding. So now, can you put the camera right here so people can watch?
The black is hard to see. That's very hard. That's even though he's got toes.
You need to be over here.
There goes half an hour.
What's that? Okay, so now imagine, just imagine right here that I've taken a grease pen and I've made an arc. Yeah, I've made an arc. Here's the joint line. There's the bottom of the tibia. Here's the talus. And so I'm thinking of the top of the talus, and the top of the talus, when you look at it, is an arc. And there's a difference on one side and the other as to which side is higher and which side is lower. But just for our purposes here, we're only interested in the arc. In other words, I'm not making this movement around a hinge. Yeah? I'm taking this movement, and you watch my finger, in an arc back to the heel. I'm making this movement from the heel in an arc toward the forefoot. Can you see the arc that I'm making? So you watch. When my hand as I lift the movement, I'm gliding in an arc back to the heel. Then I lift the heel in an arc to come forward. And you can see, here comes the front of the talus. Yes? And then I can take the talus and begin to invite it to move in an arc back to the heel. And that arc has to be able to happen on the outside. It has to be able to happen on the inside. And a person who really pronates badly, they go from the outside over across, and there's like, it's almost like they have a groove in themselves. Yeah? So the movement would be like that. But we're not worried about that at this point. Oh, I get to actually mark them up? Okay. So I'm not making an arc around, I'm not just making a movement around a central point here. Yeah. There's a clear arc. If I need to change and watch, as my hands come this way, my pelvis scoots under. And then as my hands want to go away from me, my pelvis scoots back. And so you watch how long I get. And you watch, my legs turn on, my legs, my feet, I'm drawing my legs into me, I'm drawing my legs into me, even in both ways. And I think of every single place, every point, every possible place that his foot might have to move to respond to the environment. Oh. Well, I can tell you, it's like going through crust. Don't you think? Yeah. Because it wasn't like that a moment ago. Huh? No cures. But now watch the subtlety with which everything, this can take place because the fibers in the musculature are contracting and decontracting. They're not in a much more individuated kind of way. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to invite you to come to the person you're going to work with, and first of all, explore with your hand just the subtlety, and you determine for yourself which one is easier and which one follows more clearly. Yeah. And then you come and you find the metatarsal heads of each toe. This is not a menu. It's just something to play with, okay? Because it's not a law. You don't memorize this, right? And if you want to, you can play with each joint. The toe joint, this one goes forward and back, this one circles. This one goes forward and back. How many joints are here? 1, 2. How many joints? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah? And then you find, for the fun of it, you find out whether the bones will spiral or not, whether they go evenly, one way and then the other. Yeah? Just for the fun of it, you find the metatarsals and you trace them a little bit, and then you go, do they spiral? The spiral is through the length of the bone. Yeah? So that you think of the foot becoming more capable of going both ways. Yeah? Hello. And then you come, and remember the fourth toe, that bone relates through the cuboid to the heel. So you can kind of make a movement through the talus, just to see if it'll glide there. Now remember, this one didn't want to do that when we started. That was like pushing against something else. Yeah. But now, interestingly enough, this one will do that now. Don't let me push. Don't let me push. Good, wonderful. Don't let me pull. Come on. Excellent. Don't let me push. Don't let me pull. Good. Now, don't let me rotate your foot. Don't let me rotate your foot. Don't let me rotate it. Don't let me rotate it. Good. Don't let me twist it. Don't let me twist it. Good. Now do nothing at all. That's it. First attempts at gliding, touching, finding the joint space, gliding the talus, gliding the heel back. You see my hands changing, gliding the talus toward the heel in an arc, back and down, gliding the talus forward and back, until all kinds of possibilities begin to take place. This is a little bit advanced, but why not learn it now? All right, please leave that for a moment. Take this out for a moment. And please bring your feet over the edge of the table so that you can sense the way the ground speaks to your feet now. Lift up. That's it. Take your sit bone back and get to see what it's like to get long, long, long. That's it. Marvelous. Now watch as you begin to come up. See that? Yeah. Yeah. Is it possible that you could actually, that's it. Come back again, sink back again. That's it. Long, 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 long. That's it. That's it. That's it. Oh. No, it's just the same thing as when we were doing, when you were kneeling and you were asked to bring the inner edges of your feet together, yes? So as you're going down, you keep that power. That power. That's it. That's it. All the way into the joint. Touch the table. That's it. Marvelous. That's right. That's it. Bah. Now take a few steps and see if the world isn't a little more friendly. What do you notice? What do you notice?
That's pretty much the ground feels soft.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy.
Yeah. All right. All right. So what you do is you have the person sitting at the table. You can work in twos if you want to. The person sits at the table and you look to see, as they sit and stand, which foot is more organized. Whatever you can imagine more organized means at this point. Yeah. And then you have them lie down and you touch their foot a little bit and you find out which foot seems to be able to respond. Yeah? Now, there's a general rule is that you don't work with the side that's injured, which is in the Feldenkrais world, but I don't believe that rule. So I'm always interested in working within the sense of what's possible within the area that the person has. Yeah, and I'm a little bit, I'm not saying that as elegantly as I would like. It's a good rule, I mean, in the sense that you work with the good side and help it get better so that the other side will recognize it. But you choose whichever. You can choose the foot that's not quite as organized. You can choose the foot that's a little harder. You can choose the foot that's easier for yourself. And you simply make these little explorations. But if you can, you figure out with your hands, and this is a question, hand me the skeleton like that for a moment, how you're going to find the way for your hands. That means you'll have to look how the talus works, and you're going to have to find out how you're going to touch in such a way that you can glide the talus forward and backwards. You can squeeze the leg behind to draw the heel up. You can squeeze the muscles in front to help the muscles to leg go back. So this person starts to recognize how to contract and decontract. And as you make this movement, you think that you're going to awaken every internal inch inside where the ankle meets the inner part of the foot. And then you have them come and stand up again. A little glide this way, a little glide that way. And sort of you take about a half hour with each other. Okay? Yeah? So it'll be just a little fun for you. Again, not to, but so that you recognize the potential. Have the person stand, recognize, and then at the end have them stand and recognize the difference. Okay? You can do that? Okay. Just one ankle. If you once you have the ankle, then once you have the wait just a second. I know you're very eager, but I'd like to finish this. Once you've made the movement, hold that in, please. Once you've made the movement and you have this kind of freedom, then organize yourself and make one or two pushes into the pelvis so the person knows that with this neurology they can stand on it. Okay? All right, go play.